In the moment, we want to talk about all the freedoms that we have. With that, I have picked out 4 that I think are the most valuable freedoms that we gain with camera projection or just with work in Cinema 4D with practical photos, images, and so on, and footage, of course. The 4th one is the idea that we redimensionalize images based on camera mapping. That means whatever we have done to create an image, that means from 4D, from 3D and time, the reality, so to say, into 2D, which is just an image, frozen time, if you want to say 2D plus one aspect of time. And then we put it back on geometry here. And this geometry, finally, if done well, gives me exactly the pictures back that I had before. Of course, there's always something hidden that I have to add, and so there's tiny little work to do. But on the end, I have something, and maybe that's not really a word, redimensionalization. And this gives me then the option to go here with a complete new lens into the game. Think about this. You shoot with one lens, you bring it back to the state where it was, or roughly where it was, and then you have the option to decide if you want to have a wide angle lens or a longer lens. And this opens, of course, a lot of options. And when you have seen my cinematography series, especially what a lens does to a scene, with a long lens you can maybe make it very, very tight in a scene, or with a wide angle lens you can extract the foreground to the background because the scale changes so dramatically. And here we see a result, and it's pretty obvious that the foreground has a similar perspective distortion than the background, that we have to deal here with a longer lens. And I bet that many of you have certainty with lenses, of course. That's pretty much what we need when we work with cameras in Cinema 4D. Just to say it's wider because I want to see more is only a fraction of the option. So the freedom finally to go into a scene and to create again with the lens is wonderful, and I love it. And the beauty of that is, of course, we have no limitations in time then. We have discussed the time here, but the time that I have now in mind is that when you are in front of a screen, you can compare things. You have not the pressure to be on set to make it in real time happen, to get it into the can, so to say. And that is an advantage that you have. You can fine-tune your art with the lens, and painting with lenses is, of course, a long theme. Whenever you meet me and you start talking with me about this, it might happen that I talk maybe longer than a few hours about this. It's such a wonderful theme, and lenses is really the flesh of filming for me. There's more to filming, of course. I don't want to reduce it to lenses, but it's really, there's so much inside of lenses. Okay, enough said about. Let's have a look into Cinema 4D and what we can do finally with a scene like that when we change the lenses. Let's hop over to Cinema 4D. I want to go here in the scene, of course, first to give you a little overview about cameras, different camera speeds. Here again, I doubled the length of the whole clip just by dragging the keys, but this is not the theme here. I have here some geometry in it, and it's not really a lot what is inside of the scene. So I go here to my camera, default camera, and I want to show you here, of course, the whole scene. I think I have shown that in the camera mapping tutorial already. So there's a little bit here for the background, and you see it's 3 times the same, but it's always a little bit different inside of that, because I didn't need so much. For the reflection, I have here a longer wall as well here. This is the little corner here. You might have problems to see that, so I scale in a little bit. So this is the corner here, and with the option key down, I can go around here. So for the reflections here, for the stuff that I can finally see in the picture, I have here just a texture. And this is the corner finally that looks so normal here, because I've shot it pretty much from the position where I had the camera. And again, I switch back here, and you can see here that corner is exactly from, or not exactly, but pretty much from the point of view And so all the perspective looks fine, even if I have here only just a plane. There's no geometry in it that supports perhaps all of that. Having said that, I would have problems here to go maybe higher, because then I get a problem. We have talked about these limitations. But what I can do here is, of course, I can go here into the focal length and change this here. I can choose here just the longer lens, or I can go a little bit outside. So here with a very wide angle lens, we have the distance way too high in this case. So I do now something, and I call up here complete new camera, switch it on. That is exactly what we have in the middle. And now I can go here with that new camera here, go closer to it, maybe even a little bit around here, press the R key to move this here. And now I can play perhaps a little bit better with it. So when I go now here with the camera in a wide angle position, and I think here with focal length 28 or something like that, that's considered certainly a wide angle lens, especially when the sensor size is here 36, and it works. So I can go inside of the scene and change now exactly what I have here. I do this again, go with the same camera here, but this time I have to switch it on, of course. I go out here and I select now here a longer lens, and I hope I get roughly the same here back, but you will see that we get a completely different distortion here. So the wide angle lens gives me more perspective distortion than the longer lens, and everything looks a little bit different. Let's go in even more, and I want to show that what is possible here, if that makes finally really sense to distort all of that so dramatically. I don't know. Let's overdo this here a little bit, so you get really a nice different view here. And I go here also a little bit down. And between these two cameras with nearly the same view here, I have to go here a little bit out. I hope you don't mind when I take that time from you here. I would have the need to take here my reflections out of the equation, of course. And then I get here this picture, which looks completely different than when I take here my wide angle one. And you have seen I do not change anything in the scene except for the camera. And the expression here is completely different. And now we have here these lines who go, while I have the wide angle here, they meet in the sky. Maybe there's a vanishing point. And you see here, we have these lines here much more parallel. And it looks more stable here, more condensed, more tight. And this is, for me at least, when I say we work with a lens, we paint with lenses, density, wide, and so on. And in movement, that changes, of course, a lot when I have a wide angle lens here, or when I go here to a longer one and I rotate here, that gives me, of course, a complete different position here. When I go here with the scene, even there, that's different than to this. You might know that all from photography and from the cinematography series, but I like to introduce this, of course, here to everyone who is new to the whole theme and thinks camera mapping is already maybe a little bit complicated, but now we work also with lenses here. Yes, everything comes together, and on the end you get one picture, and the more you create exactly with all the options in Cinema 4D your result, the more you get the expression that you want to have, and that is of course the target here. In the next part I want to go here to the film offset and to the Y here especially, because that is the part from a tilt shift lens that we can use here. And see you in the next part. Thanks for listening.